So according to that is the American Psychological Association. According to this association, okay, according to this association, they have defined social psychology as the study of the mind and behavior. Study of the mind and behavior. Okay. So now when we do this, now in social psychology, if you do you have your textbooks with you?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Now this social psychology, very briefly, I'll tell you. It has been in this BA third semester, right? You are in third semester, right? So in this, you have 4 units you have in the book. So one is block 1, B1, second is B2, third is B3, fourth is B4. So I'm just giving you a bird's eye view of social psychology, how we will be in this 5 days that we have, 5 or 6 days that we have, how we are going to cover the whole portion of social psychology. Towards the end of the session, we will keep aside around 5 to 10 minutes so that if you have any questions or doubts, you may ask me so that we can get it clarified. Okay? Okay. So now block 1 we have introduction to psychology. And then block 2 we have socialization and social cognition. What do you understand by cognition? Can anyone tell me?
Creativity.
Sorry?
Creative thinking of mind.
Thinking. Yes, creativity is part of thinking. It's a cognition means mental thinking. So we have social and socialization and social cognition in the block 2. Similarly, in third block, we have social process, right? And in the fourth block, we have group process and social influences. Group process and social influences. What do you understand by influences? Influences mean when you are interacting with anyone, or for that matter, physically if you interact or otherwise, the thought of someone may give you stress. Suppose you have to go for an interview, right? When you're going for an interview, the thought of the interviewer, what type of questions they may ask you and all, it might give you stress and tension. So in this also we have, that is a kind of an influence on your thinking. So social influences are, it could be any kind of influences, right from individual or group influences. This we will be covering in the block 4. So in block 1 we have, in introduction to psychology, we will be having basically, one is unit 1 we will be having introduction part, and unit 2 we will be having attribution. And the third, we will be having impression formation and impression management, right? Do you have the books with you? Yes?
Yes, madam.
Okay. Good, very good. That it will help you to understand better. You know, if you're having the book with you, you will understand in a better way. Now, so in this block 1, we will be covering these 3 units. Similarly, in block 2, we will be having again socialization and social cognition. And the third, 6th unit will be interpersonal attraction. This we will be covering in the block 2. And in block 3, we will be doing, starting from unit 7, we will be doing attitude and theories of attitude and prejudices. This will be in the block 3. Now coming to block 4, we will be doing group processes and leadership, aggression, social influences. Unit 11 will be social influences, and unit 12 will be pro-social aggression and behavior. So this is the whole of social psychology we will be covering in around 5 to 6 days, right? Right. So now let's start with the first block, which is known as the Introduction to Psychology, right? Now, as I said, psychology is a study, scientific study. It is not just casual study. It is a scientific study of the mind and behavior. So as you can see, the psychology has been defined in various ways by many researchers, many scientists. They have defined psychology in various ways. Now, scientific study of the human mind and its functions, especially those affecting behavior in a given context. That is what the study of psychology is. Basically, it is the mental characteristics or attitudes of the mind. So now social psychology is that branch of psychology that deals with social interactions, including their origins and their effects on the individual. That means it may be from one to the group and group to the one. How each one of us are influencing each one. That is what is called social interaction. Now, scientific study of the ways in which an individual's thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are influenced by other persons. This is what is meant by social psychology. Now, social psychology provides really reliable explanation for answering questions about complex social behavior. See, we need explanation. Now, suppose a person behaves in a way. Why does he behave so? There could be any reason. So we need to find out the reason why the person is behaving in a certain way. We need to get the explanation. That is what this social psychology provides us. It is a scientific approach to understand the human mind and the human behavior. Now you might ask, what is the application part of it? What benefit do we get? Can anyone tell you what is the benefit of studying social psychology? Now psychology, okay, you know. By studying psychology, it's a overall, you understand the human behavior, you understand how to interact, why the person is behaving, all that. Now why is social psychology? What is the application part of social psychology?
What how he behaves in an, I mean, when they are in a group, how does he behave?
Yes, absolutely. In education field, we can make use of it, right? For interview purposes, and then you have this health, etc. See, mind, I'm sure all of you know, mind plays a very big role where health is concerned, the physical health is concerned. They say, you think healthy, you will be healthy. Am I right? So to be healthy, first you have to think healthy. So how to think healthy also, you will understand by studying this. What are the intricacies of understanding benefits of health we get when we do this, study this social psychology. So this application part is wide, very wide. Any field you go, social psychology helps you a lot, whether it's in education, whether it is health benefits in hospitals and all, so whether it is interviews and all, which comes, of course, which comes under education. So now this is the scenario of social psychology. Now I will just share with you my screen, the first lesson, which is the introduction. If you have the books, you can open them, or I will just, 1 second. While explaining, I can share with you the can you see? Can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am, it's loading.
Yeah. Okay. So as I have already explained, in social psychology, it is a process of, one second. So social psychology is the scientific study. What is it? It is a scientific study. It's very important to put the stress on scientific study of the ways in which an individual's thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are influenced by other persons, right? So social psychology is a scientific discipline with a well-developed, see, in scientific, what happens, you have well-developed methods you have. It is not just here and there, you take up points and you do it. It is a method, your specific scientific method of answering questions about social behavior. That is why we call it as a scientific method. The social psychologists approach the problem of explaining. Now, they approach the problem itself with a scientific mind and explaining complex social behavior in a systematic, scientific way and provide valid, reliable explanations for events. So that is what is the main aim of social psychology. Now, as I already told you, in this, we will be doing introduction to psychology, then attribution and impression formation and impression management. So basically, we will be covering in the first unit, which is introduction to psychology. We will be covering what is the nature of social psychology, what are the aims, what is it trying to tell us, teach us. That is what, and then what are the origins of social psychology? How did it originate? It's very interesting to understand that earlier, the psychology itself was not a separate branch. Over a period of years, it evolved and it got separated from other humanities subjects like economics, social studies, and all. So we will come to know more about how it evolved, the psychology, social psychology, how it evolved and came to the present current understanding, current separate branch. Now, methods. Now, what are the different methods used in social psychology? We will be doing in detail the observational research method, experimental research method, survey research, and field studies. These are mainly, we will be covering these research methods, how to progress, how to do the social psychology research is done. So relevance, what is the relevance of social psychology? As I've already told you earlier also, relevance means what benefits do we have? What benefits do we have by studying social psychology, or the benefits in the field of health, in the community and environment, etc. We have all these benefits. So now coming to the introduction part, as I have already told you, this is a science which helps us understanding about other people, other people's thinking, and then other situations in a group, interactions and all. So this is a science which can help us make sense of the things that happen to us around us. See, you must be knowing that we are all known as social animals. Basically, we are social beings. So that is why it's very important to understand, while we are interacting with people, it's very important to understand why they behave the way they behave, right? So this helps us immensely in understanding all the event situations that we interact, all the people with whom we interact. The nature and aims of social psychology. Now, what is the nature and aims of social psychology? Gordon Allport, actually, he has defined psychology in a very, very beautiful way. He has told that it is an attempt to understand and explain how the thoughts, feelings, and behavior of individuals are influenced by the actual, imagined, or implied presence of others. Now, actual means physically when they are present. Imagine means you imagine that person is there, and then implied presence, that it is implied that the presence is there. So these three terms are the catchwords in the definition of social psychology. It's very important to just remember these catchwords of the definition. Please remember that since you are doing for the purpose of examination, apart from understanding the subject, you need to find out what are the catchwords to use when you're writing the answer so that you can get maximum marks in the subject. So in short, in brief, if you look at it, social psychology is the scientific study of how individuals think, feel, and behave in a social context. As I've already told you, we are all social animals, so-called social animals. There is not a single moment we are not interacting with anyone, either with family members or this with outsiders or this formal groups, informal groups. We are always interacting with someone or the other. So it is in a simple terms, it is just a social interaction with this outside world. Psychology is it is within us, what we think, what we feel. Social psychology is interaction, basically the communication and the interaction with the people surrounding us. So just remember to understand 2 or 3 definitions of that and just memorize it if possible for your examinations purposes. It will help you. Now, coming to social, social psychologists develop explanations of social influences through empirical methods. Empirical methods are proven methods, scientific methods, that such as experiments in which the variables being studied are carefully controlled. Now, how has this social psychology or psychology, scientific psychology has evolved over the years? Because of this scientific research which has been done all over, that is how it has been evolving. Even now it is evolving and new things are being explored, new avenues are being explored in this science of psychology. Now, so far, do you all have any questions, please? Quickly, just, is there anything you have not understood? Otherwise, I'll move on from here. Okay, so let's move on. Now, historical origins. It's very interesting, for each subject, what we do is, how has it evolved? To understand how is the subject evolved and how is it evolving even now? How is it moving forward? If we understand this, the subject becomes more and more interesting, right? So now this psychology, at the end of 19th century, American psychologist Norman, he published his first research article in social psychology. He studied the effects of the presence of others on the performance of individuals. After observing that bicyclists tend to race faster when racing in the presence of others. See, here there's a very important phenomena that you also might have observed is that, now suppose 2 cyclists are racing. Now, what happens is, because of that comparison, 2 cyclists, they try to beat each other and try to race faster. Even in studying, if you notice, that is why group studying, they say it is a good way of studying, because you think, you compare yourself with the other person studying and you try to increase your pace. So this, the American psychologist Norman has found out that this is how the human psychology works. So the effects of the presence of others on the performance on the personal performance. So from there, 19th century, it started actually. During 20th century, 2 ideas emerged toward the direction of social psychology. So one was Gordon Allport. He's a very, very famous social psychologist. And he was a person who started driving the force. Dr. Gordon Allport. He is one person. Then second one is Kurt Lewins. These 2 people, they came into the picture and then the force started moving further down in a very speedy way in developing of the social psychology. Now, Gordon Allport's observation that attitudes, he says that in social psychology, attitudes is the most important concept. So he developed the subject on attitudes. And now coming to the second, Kurt Lewin's conceptualization that behavior is the function of the person and the situation. He says that what is behavior? According to him, behavior is the concept of the function. It is a function of the person which is within and then the situation. These two combined together, it becomes the social psychology. That is what his concept was. Now, then later on in the 20th century, we observed that behaviorism started. The starting of behaviorism was noticed. And in behaviorism, we have the famous social psychologist we have in the 20th century. Behaviorism is, one second, behaviorism, it states that if you encourage a child, the child will do better. If you punish the child will reduce his behavior, or his incentive to do well will reduce. Now, behavior that is followed with a reward would continue. That is what the behaviorism concept says, school of thought. Behaviorism is basically a school of thought. Behaviorism says that, it clearly explains that when you reward a child for reading a book, for example, then the child will increase his reading in intensity. That suppose he will feel interested, he would want to read more and more. That is what it says. And of course, giving a child reward for reading a book, for example, can actually backward and reduce his or interest in reading. This is also there. This possibility is also there, because every time the child reads a book, he will think that he needs to get a reward. So whether it is correct or not, we still do not know. Now there again, after behaviorism, the Gestalt psychology started and came into the picture. Now in part of due limitation inherent, now there were some limitations in behaviorism. There were certain loopholes or disadvantages in the concept, in the school of thought of behaviorism, which is how the Gestalt theory, Gestalt psychology stepped into trying to overcome the shortcomings of the behaviorism. So then we come to know that the perception of objects, here in part due to limitations inherent in the behaviorist approach, other psychologists in the early 1900s examined the immense of people's perceptions of objects and events in the world, not simply their objective appearance. Now here there is a difference. If you just look at it carefully, there is a different perception, how each one looks at the object. The object is there and A, B, C looks at the object in a different way. That is what we call as perception. That perception varies from persons to person. That is what Gestalt psychology talks about. We will talk in detail as we progress and move on to different blocks. Now, historical events. There were, while this subject was evolving, social psychology was evolving through the 19th century, 20th century, 21st century, there were many historical events taking place, which also influenced the development of social psychology. Like, for example, World War II, World War I, Nazi Germany, all these events, historical events, they began to change the path of the thinkers of social psychology. Now, social psychology began to come into its own field. Now, this was part of psychology. You must please understand this. This was part of psychology. But in the 1950s and 1960s, social psychology took a different branch altogether and was divided between behaviorism and psychoanalysis. This also we will be dealing in a detailed way in the following units. Now we'll come to the methods of social psychology. What are the different methods of social psychology? As you can see, these are observational methods, observational research. Now, what do you understand by method? Can anyone tell me what do you understand by methods of social psychology? Yes, please. Anyone? Okay. Now, what is the aim of social psychology? The aim of social psychology is to provide answers to our questions. Am I right? Now, provide valid, reliable explanations for events. So, one event is taking place. Why is it happening so? So, to provide these kind of answers, there are several methods are used to find out the answers. Now, rather than relying on just rumor, just reasoning, this simple reasoning, social psychologists approach the problem of explaining complex behaviors in a systematic and scientific way. Please mark these two keywords, systematic and scientific way. These are very, very important words which, which you need to understand. So they develop explanations for phenomena by applying the scientific method, which typically involves 4 steps. What is this they're trying to do? What is the aim? The aim is that providing explanations. Now, how do they do that? That this is done from this is the identify first is to identify a phenomena to study. What is the phenomena you need to study? That you will identify. Second is testable. Can you test it? Is it testable? That is the second. Research, testable research hypothesis must be formed. Is it testable? You need to find out. That is the second step. The third step is to design a research study to test the hypothesis. So that is the third step. Finally, the study is actually carried out and data are analyzed. So when you follow these 4 steps, then you get the answers that you are looking for in a very, very scientific way. So only after applying this method to a problem and conducting careful research, a social psychologist will be satisfied with an explanation. Understood? At least put a thumbs up, please. If you're understanding what I'm saying, you may just raise your thumbs up. Yes? You may unmute and tell me, please.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Good, good. Thank you. I can see lots of students have not switched on the cameras. Is it for any reason, specific reason? If you could switch on the cameras, that would be very, very nice, you know. Just I feel that I'm talking to people.
Ma'am, actually, I'm having small baby.
Okay, no problem. Don't worry. No problem. And
That's
the others, please. Others, Saujanya, Kua, some Vivo 1807. That would be very nice if you can switch on your cameras. Anyway, so let's move on. So we have just now done the research, how the scientific research is carried on. Now, observational research. This is also one type of one method of research which is carried on to find out the answers. Basically, the queries, complex situations. What could be the answers for the complex situations? Now, in observational research, we have ethnography and archival analysis. These two are there in observational research. Then we have experimental research. Please understand all these things, all these research, methods of research, we will be doing detail in the subsequent classes, okay? There's one more which is called experimental research, and correlational research. Survey research, as the name suggests very well, survey means you conduct a survey, you collect the data, and then after surveying them, you survey the different, you collect, and then you analyze the data, and then you come to conclusions. And then you have field research. So most experiments in social psychology are conducted in a laboratory setting. I'm sure you may be aware of this. Laboratory setting means in a lab, in a conditioned environment. The environment in the lab is controlled, not conditioned, controlled environment, the experiments are conducted. So now field research is something very, very different. It is actually going to the field, wherever the field is, and then conducting the research. So that the environment, see, as most experiments in social psychology are conducted in a laboratory setting, so that the environment can be controlled and the participants carefully studied. The laboratory setting enables researchers to have control over this setting, measures, participant, all this, everything is controlled in the laboratory setting. Whereas in the field research comes in three. Field research is conducted in real world settings, actually in a real world setting. Now, for example, you want to see the children, school children behavior. Suppose a teacher is teaching a subject. Now you want to just check that whether the children are listening to the teacher, whether the teacher is teaching in an interesting way or not. So this, you go to the classroom, you hide yourself, or you tell the teacher that you're not student, that you're not there. And then you can see lots of, those instant and autonomous reactions coming from the children. So these kind of research can be conducted in the real world settings. It is not in the, it is which is very different from the laboratory setting. So what kind of research method you need to adopt for what kind of topic or all that we will be catching up in the following topics. Now, as I said, relevance of social psychology. Now, as I've already described, relevance means what is the importance? What are the benefits of studying social psychology? See, unless we have the benefits, we don't do anything, right? So we are doing this in practical life. What are the benefits we'll be getting? This is in health, health benefit, health in the field of health. We can have environment, and then community. Best part is community. Community is people, right? In communities, people, community, social gatherings. So this is the main crux of social psychology. So here also we can have the benefit by studying social psychology. So let us just quickly summarize this, whatever the introduction is, that social psychology is the scientific study of the ways in which an individual's thoughts, please be aware, thoughts, feelings, and behavior. These three are the main elements in your definition. Individual thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are influenced by other persons. Scientific research describes a phenomena. What is a phenomena? Any event is known as a phenomena. Makes predictions about it. Now, a phenomena is that, like suppose weather. We can make predictions in weather, right? What would be tomorrow's weather? Such kind of phenomena. Make predictions about it and explains why it happened. Whatever it happened, why does it happen so? Now, social psychology is a scientific discipline with a well-developed set of methods. It is, please understand, it is a scientific method. That is very, very important that we are trying to understand here. So it is a well-developed set of methods for answering questions about social behavior. Not only individual behavior, it is about social behavior also. Social psychologists approach the problem of explaining complex social behavior in a systematic, scientific way and provide valid, reliable explanations for events. Now, social psychologists have several different methods to test the research hypotheses and theories. Social psychology has multiple applications to various domains, including education, the media, the law, health, and business. We forgot about media. Media also, we have a very big, social psychology plays a very, very big role. Okay. So now let's move on to quickly, let's move on to, do you have any questions here? No? Okay. So now quickly, we'll move on to the second unit, which is, what is the second unit? Can anyone tell me?
Attribution.
Attribution. Very good. Excellent. Now, okay, in a simple language, what do you understand by attribution or attribute? Attribution is the non-form of attribute. Can anyone tell me, please, quickly? What do you understand by attribution? Anything, whatever you understand. See, it need not be correct, absolutely correct. Attribute. You attribute something. Means what? Can you see this, please? Attribution. I'm sharing. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Okay. Attribution means you attribute something. Now, suppose you missed the train. Okay. Now then you look for 100 reasons why you missed the train. Oh, there was very big traffic, long traffic. Oh, I had to rush. Oh, I had to cook my breakfast, cook lunch, so I was late. So these are giving the reasons for your behavior is actually attribution. Now, people make attributions because they need to draw inferences about others. This need not be only about yourself. It could be about someone else. So now someone else has behaved in a certain way. Suppose someone else has scolded you. Then what happens? Then you try to draw inference. You try to understand. You try to say, oh, why did he scold me? I was correct in my way, right? So this way you are drawing inferences about others' behavior, others' personality. You are drawing inference. What do you understand? Inference means drawing conclusions, trying to understand by drawing conclusions in order to make predictions about future behavior. Now, here in the social psychology, we are trying to understand or draw inferences about others in order to make predictions about how the future behavior would be. Now, you go for an interview. In the interview, also, you try to draw inference about the interviewer, how he is interviewing, and what future questions he might ask you. So, this way, it will help you. The attribution examines how people explain the behavior they witness or hear about in others and effect of their explanations on the judgments they make about them. Now, you behave in a certain way. They infer about you and they judge about you. The judgment could be positive or can be negative also. You never know. So, since mental states are not directly observable, now what you are thinking, can I see what you are thinking? No, I can't see what you're thinking. I can only see once you think, it will come out as a behavior. That behavior I can see. And that is what we are talking about, right? So, see, mental states are not directly observable. People can only make attributions about a person's mental state based on observable features of the person, behavior, and the situational context that the person is in. So attribution, how does it come? How do you attribute something? So you imagine that the person is thinking, that thinking it highlights into behavior, and that behavior you understand in context to the situation, and then you judge. So this is a process, how it happens. So attributions help us to explore. Now, how is this attribution helping us? It helps us to explore how people understand the causes of their own behavior, as well as the way this understanding influences both their immediate emotional experience and their subsequent behavior. The attributions open the way for the study of thoughts and other cognitive processes. So through attributions, you can understand the thoughts and other higher level cognitive processes like intelligence. What are the higher level cognitive elements? What are the higher level? It is the intelligence, it is the reasoning power. So all these come in the higher levels of cognitive processes. All these help you with the process of when you understand the attribution. What's the meaning and nature of attribution? Attributions are the inferences people make about events and their lives. It's a very simple. The events and the people and events. Only two things we have. If you have noticed this, if you have observed, we have only two things. One is the event situations, one is the people behavior. So these attributions are the inferences people make about events in their life. The term attribution refers to the process that an observer uses to infer the causes of another individual's behavior. Why did the person act as he or she did? That's all. Why? The question is why. The catchword is why. Then you attribute it. Now, Fritz Heider, he is known as the father of attribution theory. As you know very well, we have theories in all the fields. Now, in this field, in this attribution concept, we have the father of the attribution theory is known as Fritz Heider. So he has developed this attribution theory, which also we will be discussing in detail later on. In his view, the main concept is that in his view, people were like amateur scientists trying to understand other people's behavior by putting together information until they arrive at a reasonable explanation or cause. So he says that people are always trying to understand other people's behavior. How? By putting together the information. See, they are constantly deriving the information. That information, they are putting it together in the cognitive levels, and they are trying to arrive at a reasonable explanation or the cause, which is what attribution is. So one of the key aims of attribution theories is to, what are the key aims? The key aims of attribution theory is to outline the circumstances which lead us to make an internal as opposed to an external attribution for our own or others' behavior. See, there are two. One is internal, one is external. So here the key aims is the theory outlines. What does the theory say? The theory says that it is internal versus external. Internal factors, what are the internal factors? Ability, attitude, personality. And external factors are the other people, situations, luck, all these we say it as external. And the extra situation factors are also there, which like a situation, we interact with the situation. And that, how this interaction is done, we again attribute it to that. For example, the attributions and the observer makes about a mother shouting to her daughter. Now, suppose a mother is shouting to the daughter. So the mother's attitudes or character is an example of the dispositional attribute. So this way, we keep on giving each moment. We see something, we interact with someone, we interact with something, then we attribute. This is a continuous process which is going within us. So there are internal versus external attributions for behavior. So all these, what are these? Now, internal, what are internal factors? What are the external factors? As you know very well, internal factors are which are within us. Now, something about the, like suppose because of the intention, it could be you want to do it something, so you do it. Whereas external means because something about the situation has demanded you to behave in a certain way, so you behave. Now, suppose in the example of mother shouted at her daughter, because it is her personality, that would be cause for internal. Whereas for external, because daughter was not ready to go to school. So that is the attribution of external factors. I hope I'm clear on these concepts. Now, casual attribution. Again, you have one kind of casual, which you explain both their own and others' behavior. When both own and others' behavior are considered, it is known as casual attribution. Now, understanding casual attribution is crucial to understand everyday social behavior, because casual attribution is very, very important. Why? Because every day we are interacting socially. Because we are social animals, from the time we wake up in the morning till the time we sleep, go to bed, we are always interacting, whether with the people around us, in the colleges, in the schools, outside, everywhere we are interacting. So social behavior, understanding casual attribution, we immediately someone, we judge that someone, we attribute. So crucial understanding everyday social behavior, because we all make casual attributions many times a day. And the attributions we make can gently affect the thoughts, feelings, and future behavior. Now, when you get your marks for the exam, you may, suppose you say if the mark is good, you might decide, oh, I'm very intelligent, I'm very hardworking. That's why I got good marks. And now if you don't get good marks, you might say, oh, the questions were very tough, they gave out of the portion questions. So that is why I could not write. So this is how we keep on attributing, doing casual attribution. What is this? This is all casual attribution. There are certain theories of attribution, as I've already told you earlier. The theories, different theories. What exactly is a theory? The theory, the aim of generally theories is that it proves what you're trying to, a concept. It takes a concept, and then through the theory, the theorist, whoever the theorist, tries to prove and tries to bring it to the audience in a very sensible way. So that is what the purpose of a theory is. And then with all the facts and information and knowledge, they try to prove the point that they are trying to make. That is a theory. So different sociologists, they create the theories concerned to their different concepts they are handling it. Now, this coming to attribution theory, the aim of attribution theories is to explain how people decide what caused a particular behavior. So what is it caused a particular behavior? Now, they're concerned about determining how we live, think, and make judgments about the perceived causes of behaviors and events in our everyday lives. So these are the theories which are trying to make us understand about a behavior in social context in a casual way in our events and events in our everyday life. There is Jones and Davis correspondent inference theory. So then again we have Kelly's theory of causal attribution. The second person is covariation. There is no covariation theory also. It is known as Kelly's theory of causal it is causal attribution. Causal means it's come from the term cause, which is giving a cause. It is a causal attribution. So now we will be dealing all these also, the theories also we will be dealing in detail what each theory states. Now Kelly's covariation model, that is as the graph shows very well, there's a covariance where consensus, distinctiveness, and consistency. So definition and example in the vertical column, we have this attribution made external, made internal, and made external. Now there are different sources, there are different errors which we make in attribution. I think we are touching 5:20. We just have 10 minutes left. So basic sources of errors. What are the sources of errors in attribution? Like in all other fields, in attribution also, there are very different errors that we tend to make. The attribution people make are sometimes less than fully rational. It cannot be. Do you understand by what rational? Rational means logical. It is not emotional. It's not emotional or illogical. It is very rational. Means from the intellectual level, you think about it. That is what we think and we decide. That is what sometimes when we are attributing something, we tend to become, we are not fully rational. We tend to become emotional. That is one of the errors which we make in attribution. That is what the sources, basic sources of error are. One is attribution errors, fundamental attribution error. Now, what is a fundamental attribution error? This is an extension of Hader's notion that people tend to overemphasize the personal and underemphasize the situational causes of action. So you should understand this, that the fundamental of attribution error is that if you notice, if you observe yourself, you will just understand that when it comes to ourselves, what we do, we tend to overemphasize the personal and underemphasize the situational cause of action. That means, what do you understand by overemphasize and underemphasize? It means that giving ourselves more benefit, and outsiders means lessening the benefit. That is what we tend to do, the causes of action. Now, suppose it comes to us, why did I get angry? So I will just be overemphasize it. Oh, no, the person behaved like that with me. That is why I had to be angry. You are emphasizing your personal thing. Now, underemphasizing the situational cause of action is that you underemphasize the situation which triggered your behavior is not that important. It did not cause you to become so angry. That is underemphasizing, overemphasizing and underemphasizing. Now, the two main causes of fundamental attribution error are that focusing on personal responsibility and the salience of behavior. So in this, we come across two main causes of what in fundamental attribution. What are the two main causes? One is focus on personal responsibility. You give more focus on your personal responsibility and the salience of behavior. These two you give more focus. That is why this error happened. And then actor, one more error is that actor-observer error. What do you understand by actor and observer error? Who is the actor? You are the actor. Now, who is the observer? The other person with whom you are interacting is the observer. You are observing him. So actor and observer error also might happen when you are dealing with it in a very, very irrational, illogical way. This is when people or groups assume their own behavior to be more likely to be situationally determined, especially if outcomes are negative. When the outcomes are negative, these kind of errors take place. Then again, we have self-serving attributional bias. What do you mean understand by bias? Bias means prejudice. Means you have some kind of, already you have formed a prejudice. Oh, this person is not good. From previous experiences, bad experience that you have had, you feel that, okay, this person is not good. You are having a bias. So even though in future you have so many good experience you might have, but still you may have a bias towards that person. So having this self-serving attributional bias is again one more source of error which we come across. Then we have this false consensus effect. The tendency to believe that our own feelings and behavior are shared by everyone else. Yes, this is absolutely true. What we tend to do is we feel that the way I'm thinking, the whole world is thinking like that. The way I'm feeling, the whole world is feeling like that. 99% of us, we think like that. And this is called the false consensus effect. So we come to the end of the second chapter. I think we have time only to complete the 2 units. Now, attributions, let us quickly go through this summary. Now, attributions are the inferences people make about events in their lives. The attribution process involves assigning causes for the behavior we observe. Assigning causes means understanding why. Assigning means what? Giving. Understanding why. Why is it happening? That is what is called attribution. Both our own and that of the others. When we make an internal attribution about an individual, we assign the cause for behavior to an internal source. And when it happens to the others, we give the cause for behavior an external factor. I think I have explained to you earlier also about what is internal factor and what is external factor. And if you go through this once again, quickly go through it, then you will have a better understanding of this whole thing called attribution. Now, when consensus, consistency, and distinctiveness are high, we make an external attribution. However, if consensus is low, consistency is high, all these, the dynamics, slowly in the next class, I will be explaining to you with a diagram, what is this consistency high and consensus low, all this, so that you will be able to understand better. So the fundamental attribution error. Error means what? The mistakes. Fundamental attribution error highlights the facts that people prefer internal to external attributions of behavior. The fundamental attribution error may be part of general tendency to confirm that we believe is what we believe is true and to avoid information that disconfirms our hypothesis. When we observe someone else, we make the familiar internal attribution. So that's basically what we are trying to say here, is that when it comes to us, we justify our actions, and when it comes to the other person, we say that he is bad, the situation is also bad, which is why the behavior was bad. So this way, mainly, we try to navigate between the internal and the external factors of attribution. So when we act, we most often believe that our behavior was caused by the situation in which we acted. Now the time is 5:26. I think quickly, if you have any questions, I would like to answer the questions. If you have any doubts, if you have any questions, kindly ask me. Any kind of doubts, please. No?
Very well explained, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. But I would like you to do one thing, please, from my side. As soon as the explanation is done, you have your books with you. Quickly run through the books, run through the pages. Even if you have 5 minutes, don't lose those 5 minutes. Run through the 2 units that we have done, so that you're thorough with it, because everything else is built on this. The better you understand these units, you will have a better understanding as we keep progressing in this social psychology.
Ma'am, actually, I did not get ma'am books.
With what you didn't get, ma'am? Please tell me, Sarita.
I did not get psychology, means this third semester books I did not get from.
Oh, okay. You didn't get the books. I think your PDF format also you will be having. If you can ask someone else to share with you, that will be great, I think.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, but that's a real, honest, sincere suggestion to you, that you just go through it once everything, because it will remain fresh in your brain. And once you catch up with it, you're ready for the next class, right?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Before the class close, I think 5:30 automatically the Zoom link will close. Is that so? Is that the arrangement? Do you have any idea? No?
I think we can also leave before that.
Yeah, you can leave before, but there's a precious time. No, I would like to just have a quick few questions from you. That would be great, actually.
Yes, ma'am.
Whether you understand, you don't understand, that's totally different. But whatever you understand or whatever doubts you have, if you can just share with me, that will be great. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay, let's quickly recap. What have we covered so far? One point at a time. What have we, till the it logs off? What have we covered so far in social psychology? Yes, Lasya.
Introduction and
Yes.
introduction in social psychology, ma'am.
Yes, correct. Bhumika? Anyone else, Kua? Have I pronounced it correctly? You can unmute and speak to me. Divya, many people have not, I feel so sorry that you have not switched on your cameras. It would be very nice next class at least. I think we have a class tomorrow, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Tomorrow we have same time, I think 4:30 to
yes.
4:30 to 5:30. So if you can just do your homework quick, recap and all, then we'll just, and then move on to the third. And how many units do we have in this block one? We totally have 3 units, right? 2 already I have covered. What is the third unit we will be covering is impression formations and impression management. Quickly, since we have time, what do you understand by impression? Quick. Yes, impression. The picture that I'm showing, I'm looking at last year. The first impression I'm having is she's a very, very pretty girl and women. That is my impression of her. And Bhumika's dress is very pretty. So that is the impression I'm having. So beautiful. So this is the impression, right? The first impression.
Yes, ma'am.
This is what is called impression formation. You form the impression. That is why they say that you physically, you have to look very neat, clean. First impression is the best impression, right? Especially when you go for interviews and all, you need to dress yourself neatly, not fashionable. Please understand the difference between neatness and fashionable. Fashionable is not style. Fashionable is not what we are talking about. We're talking about being neat, clean, and decent, right? So that impression the interviewer will be having on you, the first impression, that will have a lot of luck towards you. And then, of course, how you prove yourself. That is what is impression formation. Not only on people, we form impressions on different situations. You go somewhere, immediately you enter into a marriage hall. You see all shabby, all dirty plates here, there. What is the impression you are having? The place is very dirty, right? So that is what is impression formation. You can form impressions on people, situations, and different kinds of things. You form impression. Management. This is from a layman's point of view, management, impression management. And then we will see from the aspect of sociological aspect, what do we understand by impression formation and impression management. What are the different elements which have contained in this impression formation and impression management? How do you manage the impression and all? It's very, very interesting. I hope you're finding it very interesting.
Yes, ma'am.
So, yeah, you can leave now if you want to leave. So the session is over. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
See you tomorrow again the same time. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome. Bye. Kua, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
No? Fujita?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
I'm having one doubt about bias.
About?
Bias.
Bias.
BIA.
Okay. Okay, okay. Tell me.
It will be negative only or it will be a positive also?
See, the term bias itself is negative. It has a connotation, it carries with it the meaning of negativity. I have a bias towards this person. The term itself says negative.
Okay, okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Can you please explain me fundamental attribution errors, ma'am?
Fundamental sources of errors. Can you please mute those who are talking, please? Mute your microphones. Can you please mute your microphones? Yes. Please tell me who's asking this question. Who has asked this question? Who has Kua? Have you asked the question? Who has asked this question? Okay, that person must have left it.
Question chat box. Attribution error, I think so. She's asking about attribution error.
Attribution, yes. You have not understood what attribution is?
Yeah, she was asking, I think so, ma'am, about Kua was asking about attribution error.
Errors, yeah, sources of errors, right. Sources of errors in attribution theory, right? Oh, but she's not there, I think. She has left, I think, right?
No, ma'am, she's there. She just on her video and audio. She's not replying.
Okay, okay. How many of you have got the books from the university?
Some have didn't got because of some reasons, ma'am. Last when some people have gone to university, there were no books in university.
Okay.
So they told they will provide it after some time.
Okay, no problem. I think you still have time for your exams, right?
Yeah, we did not get any notification, ma'am, till now.
Right, right. Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay, then I think some other classes would be starting now. I don't know the process. So we all will say goodbye, only to meet tomorrow.